Is guilty to lying to Congress and agrees to cooperate with the special counsel. Cohen saying in court today that he misled Congress about the timeline of a potential Trump Organization real estate deal in Moscow. Cohen originally telling lawmakers talks ended in January 2016, but is now claiming they didn't wrap up until June of the same year. Trump slamming his former attorney in the wake of these developments.
He's a weak person and not a very smart person. He's got himself a big prison sentence, and he's trying to get a much lesser prison sentence by making up a story. Now, here's the thing. Even if he was right, it doesn't matter, because I was allowed to do whatever I wanted during the campaign. He's lying about a project that everybody knew about. I mean, we were very open with it. We were thinking about building a building. I decided ultimately not to do it. There would have been nothing wrong if I did do it.
Meanwhile, investigation-happy Democrats like little Adam Schiff are not satisfied with Trump providing written answers to Robert Mueller. Sherrod Brown also hinting the Russia investigation is only the beginning of what's coming. Trump is warning Democrats against what he's calling presidential harassment. The president saying he's a counterpuncher and may declassify devastating Russia probe documents if they don't back down. What's so funny, Juan? You know those documents are devastating.
Devastating.
Yes, David.
You know, this is the thing about Trump. He always, you know, the advertising, the hype, the Christmas season is here. But with Trump, it's every day. It's bigger. It's grander. It's going to be the best ever.
Let's talk about the Michael Cohen situation. So Trump's legal team is saying what he told Robert Mueller about the Russia deal. It wasn't even a deal. It matches what with Cohen's statement in court today, and there was really no discrepancy.
What?
So what's the big deal?
Are you kidding?
Yeah, Robert Mueller never asked him when the deal fell apart or when it ended. So what's the problem?
Listen, Trump was tweeting in the middle of 2016 after the primaries that there was no deal, nothing going on, no relationship, no business going on with Russia.
Well, there was no deal.
And what we know now from Cohen's plea deal today, Jesse, is that in fact he was not only continuing to do this deal, not only continuing to brief Trump on it, but actually in touch with Vladimir Putin's office in order to try to get the deal done. So Trump was trying to make money while he's running for president, doesn't tell the American people this, which suggests that he's about his interest, his making money, not our interest.
Everybody knows he was running the Trump Organization when he was running for president.
Okay, so then why didn't he say straight up, hey, I'm still trying to get a deal to build a Trump Tower in Moscow? No, he didn't do that. He lied about it.
Well, there was no deal. I guess in your opinion, a deal happens before you sign it, but that's not how usually
what he said was he had
deals.
nothing, no contact, no business dealings going on with Russia. That's what he said.
Okay. Emily, if you are now working with people like Michael Cohen, who's lied a few times, and you're working with Manafort, who's also lied, and Rick Gates, who's also lied, are you now saying that when they're offering this new testimony that it's not believable because, you know, they're facing hard prison time? Because a lot of people are saying that's the reason they've changed their stories.
Right, you can absolutely make that argument, right, that the reason that credibility is pierced is because obviously here's a career criminal liar, here's why. But that's when corroborating evidence comes into play. That's when the prosecution has to step up and do their job and say, it doesn't matter whether you believe this person in this moment based on their history, here's why we are proving when they are lying and when they are telling the truth. So it kind of, it means that you need to take that step further on prosecution's part. I want to point something else out as well. Just going back to Jerome Corsi, for a second.
You know him as Jim.
Yeah, my boy Jim. I want to point out, though, that people continue predicting prosecution's behavior and kind of trying to ascribe a certain set of structure and parameters to what's going to happen next, not only in this investigation, but the ancillary ones, right, with prosecutions. And you can never predict and you can never ascribe a certain set of rules. And the reason I'm bringing that up is because with Corsi, he gave them everything voluntarily. He literally sat down with them and said, this is my password and here's my phone and here's everything I own and let me help you. And then they called him on something where he said, they called him on something where he said, oh, I don't remember. And they then circled back and said, here's evidence to the contrary. He then amended his answer formally, and then they still threatened this felony charges of being untruthful under oath in this investigation. So the fact that the prosecution can do whatever they want, they can change their mind, they can make decisions that don't make sense to us or that suddenly represent a tangent in their development means that for all of us trying to kind of predict or read the tea leaves, anything is possible at this point.
Yeah, these are brass knuckle players. I mean, you saw the Ted Stevens situation. The same guys were involved in that, and the Enron situation.
Hey, you know, Jesse, I just want to interject. I know we'll be quick about it, but you were suggesting to Emily that, gee, these guys are liars. They've lied about things in the past. But we know from Manafort, right, that in fact he is checked by the prosecutor, and that's why the prosecutor broke the plea deal, and that's why Trump is now floating the idea of a pardon for Manafort.
Did he float it?
I think he floated it.
I don't think he floated it.
He said it's not off the table, literally.
Okay, so
that's not floating a
what is that? What's that? That's putting it out there. Isn't it?
Well, he was asked a specific question by the Post about it. Dana, so, you know, he's going overseas. Jet's about to take off, and Mueller drops this thing. Same thing in Helsinki. The same thing happened.
You know, Dana's rule of thumb.
What's that?
Anytime the president of the United States, no matter who it is, travels overseas to one of these big meetings, something happens in domestic politics that keeps your attention divided, and it's frustrating because now you're on a time difference. You're trying to do things with all of these other leaders, the G20 leaders, and get that done. So yeah, that's right, but they'll be fine. I actually think that President Trump should, I think he should defer to Rudy Giuliani, say, I'm going to be gone for 3 days. I want you to be the spokesperson on this. You handle it, and I am going to focus on the business at hand as the president of the United States.
So no tweeting at all?
I'm not going to tell him not to tweet, but I think that in terms of engaging with like today, when he took all of those questions today, I don't think that he needs to do that when he's in Argentina. He did that today. He said what he had to say, and now he can go and do the important business that a president of the United States
But Dana, he canceled the meeting with Putin.
Yes, he did. I think that was the right thing to do.
Well, maybe he's not in bed with Putin, as everybody suggests. Greg, do today's developments make you more or less interested in the story?
I have a series of 4 points, and I don't know if I should do them all or just pick one. Let's do them all. All right. Number one, to Emily's point, I don't know Cohen at all, but these crimes seem to be created by an investigation of crimes they couldn't find. So when you find out there's not enough there, you start looking for something else. Or maybe it's just a crime of opportunity, or searching for a crime of opportunity, meaning to stop the guy for jaywalking, hoping he has pot in his pocket. And I think when you pull somebody like Cohen in, you're kind of hoping maybe he's going to lie. And guess what? To quote Juan, he did lie. But that's because he likes to lie, and a lot of lawyers and a lot of handlers and a lot of muscle men, they lie. Now, I'm with Trump. I'm sorry, not except for Emily. Now, I'm with Trump on working until you become president. I think if I were considering running in 2020 and I do TV for a living, I'm not going to turn down a lucrative gig selling caviar in St. Petersburg because, you know, I may lose.
Might lose.
So that's why he's saying, like, I got a job. And by the way, it didn't work out. That doesn't mean he's lying. Now, the timeline. Now here's the nut of this. It's about a timeline difference, about a real estate deal that happened before an election that never actually happened. You would find more meat at PETA headquarters. This is like really hard. So again, in the absence of bad news about our great country, the media needs this story. Might I use a metaphor?
Please.
If Donald Trump were like an amusement park, right? There's all of these great rides. You have the low unemployment log ride. You have the prosperity carousel. You have the wages water slide. You have the peace pendulum. But where's the media? They're all at the worst ride there is. It's the Mueller teacups.
Oh, the teacups.
And they're spinning around in their vomit-inducing orgy, ignoring all the great rides that America is enjoying. Because we're having such a great time, they need Mueller.
All right.
President Trump's former personal attorney, Michael Cohen, pleaded guilty in federal court today to lying to Congress. Cohen conceded that he was intentionally wrong. He lied about the dates of an abortive Moscow real estate deal when he testified to the Senate Intelligence Committee last year. Cohen's plea was, of course, big news on cable television. The president responded to it as well. He called Cohen, quote, weak and, quote, not a very smart person. Well, that's objectively true, of course. It's also worth asking why anyone would hire a weak, dumb lawyer. Someday we'll get to the bottom of that. But for now, let's consider what we have just learned about how Washington works. Apparently, it's now an enforceable felony to lie to the U.S. Congress. On one level, that is good news. We should take our own laws seriously. Functional countries do that. Nations in decline set up sanctuary cities and ignore their own borders. Nor is it implausible that Michael Cohen might have broken this law or really any other law. Nobody who knows him is shocked by the allegation. If Cohen was accused of running a cannibalism ring, you'd have to at least take the charge seriously. Anything is possible with that guy. So 3 cheers for law and order. The problem is, if you're going to enforce statutes, you have to enforce them fairly and evenly. The law has to apply to everyone. Otherwise, it's not really the law. It's a political weapon. Michael Cohen is facing 5 years in prison for telling Congress something that he knew was false. How often does that happen in Washington? If you watch C-SPAN, you know the answer. Constantly. All the time. There are almost never consequences, by the way. According to one study, between the Second World War and 2007, a total of only 6 people were convicted of lying to Congress. 6 people in 60 years. In other words, the law is not enforced, and that's why people break it so often. Watch this sworn testimony from 2013. This is not someone you haven't heard of. This is the then Director of National Intelligence, Jim Clapper, assuring the Congress under oath that the NSA absolutely does not spy on American citizens.
Does the NSA collect any type of data at all on millions or hundreds of millions of Americans?
No, sir.
It does not.
Not wittingly.
Yeah. Clapper lied. He's a liar. There's no debate about that. And yet he wasn't charged for lying under oath. In fact, Clapper got richer after he retired. CNN hired him as an analyst. Pretty much the same thing happened to Jim Comey, the former FBI director. In 2017, Comey claimed, again under oath, that he had never been an anonymous source for news stories while he worked at the FBI. Watch him tell that lie to the Congress.
Director Comey, have you ever been an anonymous source in news reports about matters relating to the Trump investigation or the Clinton investigation?
Never.
Have you ever authorized someone else at the FBI to be an anonymous source in news reports about the Trump investigation or the Clinton investigation?
No.
Yeah, well, according to Comey's longtime deputy who would know, and that would be former FBI Deputy Director Andrew McCabe, what Comey said on the tape you just saw is totally untrue. So Comey lied to Congress. But nobody cared. Jim Comey went on to get rich as a pundit selling his book. The same people rooting for Michael Cohen's destruction for lying consider Jim Comey a hero. And then there's former CIA Director John Brennan. Brennan lies constantly. That's well documented. In 2011, for example, Brennan claimed that drone strikes overseas had never, to his knowledge, killed a single non-combatant. That was a total crock. In 2014, Brennan lied and said the CIA had not broken into the computers of Senate staffers. And then last year, under oath before Congress, Brennan said this.
Do you know if the Bureau ever relied on the Steele dossier as part of any court filings, applications, petitions, pleadings?
I have no awareness.
Did the CIA rely on it?
No. It was not in any way used as a basis for the intelligence community assessment that was done.
Yeah, that's a total lie, a flagrant lie, and a significant one about something that affects the life of this country. And yet, you know how the story ends? Brennan was never charged with a felony for lying to the Congress. In fact, just the opposite. Washington rewarded him. Brennan is now an analyst for NBC News. He could be on the air tonight telling you why it's so vitally important that Michael Cohen was charged with lying to Congress. Because we really can't have that. Rule of law, blah, 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 blah. Do you notice a theme here that connects all of these stories? Yes, there is one, and it's simple. The well-connected can do pretty much whatever they want. They can lie to the Congress with impunity, and they do. They can lobby for foreign governments without bothering to register, and they do. If they're rich enough, they can even, I don't know, molest children without being seriously punished. Ask Jeffrey Epstein. He did that. None of this, by the way, is a defense of Michael Cohen. That guy's a creep. He may very well wind up in jail. But if Cohen does wind up in jail, let's hope he's just the first in a long series of prosecutions. If the law is applied to Michael Cohen, then it has to be applied to people who have lied about things that actually matter.
Thank you, God bless you, and God bless America.